Good morning, everybody. My name is Catherine Connolly, and I'm the Community Relations and Engagement Coordinator with Seniors NL. And welcome to this week's session called Let's Talk About the Wellness Coalitions of Newfoundland and Labrador. I'll introduce our guest speakers in a few minutes. Sign language interpreting services for this session is provided by an inclusion grant from the Disability Policy Office, Department of Children, Seniors, and Social Development, who we are very grateful. As always, we have some housekeeping tips. Please mute your mic to block out any outside noise. Click the closed captioning button on the bottom of your screen. Please place your questions and comments in the chat. We will be monitoring this throughout the call, and we will have an open mic session at the end for any type of questions that you have for our panel. This session is being recorded and will be placed on our YouTube channel afterwards for future viewing. And if you have any suggestions or recommendations for presentations, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm going to take a few minutes for our land acknowledgement. We respectively acknowledge the land on which we gather as the ancestral homelands of the Beothuk, whose cultures has now been erased forever. We also acknowledge the island of Ukta-Unguk as the unceded traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. And we acknowledge Labrador as the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Innu of Nuntasinin and the Inuit of Nunasiavut and the Inuit of Nunatukavut. We recognize all First Peoples who were here before us, those who live with us now, and the 7 generations to come. As First People have done since time immemorial, we strive to be responsible stewards of the land and to respect the cultures, ceremonies, and the traditions of all who call it home. As we open our hearts and minds to the past, we commit ourselves to working in the spirit of truth and reconciliation to make a better future for all. I'd like to introduce our guest speakers for today. Labrador Regional Wellness Coalition is Danica Genge. I know I pronounced your last name wrong, Danica, and I'm so sorry. Gend, thank you. Northern Regional Wellness Coalition, Karla Loder. Western Wellness Coalition, Tanya Barnes-Matthews. Central Wellness Coalition, Kendra Pardy and Jill Wheaton. Eastern Regional Wellness Coalition, Tammy Green. Wellness Coalition, Avalon East, Heather Powell. Heather, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and for you to go ahead and take over, please.
Give me a second. Find this. I've got too many taskbars here.
That's quite all right. I actually closed out several of mine before we started.
Don't see the share screen. Can you tell me where that is on Zoom?
There is a button on the bottom of your screen.
You move your mouse, it kind of pops up.
Okay, green. There it is.
Yeah, it's right next to the share. A window then will open up and you just go ahead and select the document in question.
Yeah. I'm in
Perfect.
Today, so right now. Slideshow. There. Can you guys see the?
We see your screen, but it's not actually in presentation mode. We can still see your next slides coming up on the left-hand side.
If you have a second screen set up, it's your presentation has probably shifted over to there.
Yeah, that's what's happened. Okay, how do I get out of that, people? Slideshow. And let's just pick a different screen, see if that will work. When I go to share, stop sharing. Bear with me.
That's quite all right.
See, that's gonna.
Now we could see your PowerPoint presentation clearly.
I don't know how to get it to do the other screen.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
quite. Yeah, no, we see it perfectly fine though. It is on almost all the screens. So, I mean, you can certainly go ahead and use this type of a view.
Okay, if that will work for everybody.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry for all the little bumps in that this morning. Thank you, Catherine, for inviting us to present to the folks, I guess, across the province, which is really great. And for everybody that's attended this morning, I think there's, see, I can't see how many people are on or anything, but I know there was quite a high number of registration and interest. So we're really happy to tell you about the regional wellness coalitions. Most of us have been involved with coalitions for a long time, and we get quite excited sometimes when we're talking about the coalitions and the work that happens in community. I'm just going to bring us through a few slides that talks about the coalitions in general, because while we do have regional focus, there are a lot of commonalities, I guess, across the coalitions. And then we will speak, I guess, a little bit more specifically about the involvement that seniors have had in our coalitions and some projects in some of the in the communities across the province, and time for question and answers. So I guess that's all our lovely little logos there, and they've all been, created from folks in the regions. They're all a little unique, and I think we've all agreed that we want to keep our unique logos, and while we are sort of provincial in terms of connection, we do like the individual creativity that's involved in our logos. Okay, so first off, I guess just to explain who we are, the Regional Wellness Coalitions, we've been around for quite some time, just about 20 years this year, so happy birthday to us. And it really is a multi-level partnership from the Department of Health and Community Services with government, and they provide the funding. We all get an individual budget from the department to operate our events and activities and throughout the year. And they also provide some coordination through a consultant that will bring us together, help us connect with other government departments, keep us in the loop about different things that are happening in health that people in the coalitions and the communities might be interested in, and things that can support our work. So, that relationship works out very well. The other piece there is Newfoundland and Labrador Health Services. And I guess prior to this, we were all the individual health authorities through Eastern, Central, Labrador, Grenville, and Northern, and Western, sorry, not Northern. So the health authorities provide some staff and infrastructure, because the coalitions themselves don't have any staff, and that's a misconception. I think that's out there sometimes. So the staff come from various departments and that within the health authorities. It could be through public health or through primary health care, or because we're all set up a little bit differently. They also provide, I guess they also host our funding. So financial services and that will help look after that for us. And they also provide some administrative support in terms of clerical work and things like that that we need. And then the other piece, of course, is that the coalitions will have a steering committee, and that is made up of some NLHS staff, but also community members. And that's sometimes where some of the magic happens. So we get to have that connection. We get input and the perspective of community, and that through having community member organizations be part of our steering committees. So the steering committees actually set out the work plans and the activities and help organize the different events and programs and that we would have in the community. So it really is that great connection. I know for myself, in the role that I have as a healthy communities consultant with the health authority, I would not know about half the connections that I have without the network of the wellness coalitions. And that's really what they are, is a network. So next slide. So this just explains our boundaries. So we are grouped to cover a particular regions within the province and the communities, I guess, that are within those regions. So you can, I hope the map is clear enough there for you. So for Wellness Coalition Avalon East, we would cover the St. John's and surrounding areas. So that would include Bell Island, CBS, the Southern Shore communities as far as St. Shots and Trepassey, and the Torbay to Portugal Cove area. So we're down there in that little sliver of yellow, just on the very easterly point, I guess, of the map. And then there's Eastern Regional Wellness Coalition, and that would start in Holyrood and go all the way to Port Blandford and cover the Bonavista and Burin Peninsulas, Placentia, and the Trinity Conception areas. And as the, and all ports in between, as, the marine forecast would say. Next is Central. So Central is there in the purple. So that's a huge area geographically, as you can see. And it's bounded, I guess, by Charlottetown in the east, Fogo Island in the north, Harbour Breton to the south, and Bay Verte to the west. And as I said, all points in between. So any communities that fall within that purple area, you're with Central Wellness Coalition. And over on the west coast, you can see the green piece there. It's the west coast and a bit of the southwest coast, and that's Western Wellness Coalition. So that would go as far as Port aux Basques and southeast down as far as Francois, northwest up to Bartlett's Harbour, and on the eastern boundary to Hampton Junction, including all the White Bay communities to Jackson's Arm. So listen up, because there's a geography test at the end here. And Northern Regional Wellness Coalition is there in the blue. So you can see it takes in part of the island of the province, but also part of Labrador as well. So it does cover off the South Labrador coast from Landsaclare, Norman's Bay, and the Northern Peninsula from Reefs Harbour, New Ferrol. Correct me, Karla, if I'm wrong there with that pronunciation, to St. Anthony and all those areas in between.
It would be New Ferrol.
New Ferrol, thank you. New pronunciation for today. And our big pink geography in the north is our Labrador Regional Wellness Coalition. So that it takes in, the whole Labrador portion of the province, with the exception of the southwest coast that I just mentioned. So from Blacktickle and Cartwright in the directions north and west, including all the areas. So
Heather, before you change the screen there, would you mind just closing out the comment section you have on the right-hand side?
Oh, sorry. All you guys were
Perfect. Now we see a much larger screen. Thank you.
okay. Yeah, all right. That's where you guys were, and I couldn't see that there. Let's see if I'll minimize you. There you go. Now you're gone. Okay, is that better?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can see the geography is very, very different for all our coalitions. And that creates, I guess, some, there's good things about that, and there's challenges about it as well. Certainly when it comes to gathering people together and trying to work together. But we do manage quite well, I think. Okay. So I guess exactly who we are. I did say we are more of a network with members from different areas in the community. And really, it's anyone who's interested in promoting wellness in the broadest sense. Representations come from various sectors such as health, education, municipalities, recreation, justice, service and faith organizations, and anything that doesn't fit in there in terms of a nonprofit organization. So that could be something like a Lions Club, or you know, various service organizations, or some of the you know, groups like Cancer Society or Alzheimer's Society, like fit under there. And they would serve, I guess, various populations within the community, general members, persons with disabilities, youth, Aboriginal and culturally diverse populations, the 2S LGBTQIA plus community, families. So you can see that there would be a broad representation, and there's wonderful things happen when you have that variety. If you want to think of a recipe and having all different kinds of ingredients, sometimes that's what makes it really yummy. Each coalition would have anywhere from 120 to over 300 members. So the reach is very vast. And generally, it would be, you know, an organization that would sign up and then be able to provide information and that about the coalitions through their networks. So it's a large network that has access to other networks and reach within the organizations that are there. And I'm going to really date myself now. If anybody remembers, like the 1970s commercial, I think it was the Fabergé Organics shampoo, you know, and the little screen would pop up with one person. I told one person, and they told one person, and they told one person, and next thing you know, we have a whole. Well, that's kind of how I like to think that our coalition networks work. So really, you know, anybody interested in promoting wellness is, you know, is welcome. We do have some individual members through the coalitions, but it's mainly through groups, organizations, and seniors clubs. I forgot that one. That's a really big, important one here this morning. Can all join the coalitions. So what do we do? Well, really, as I said, it's really about that networking and partnership piece. We do encourage that. And we do that by hosting events and opportunities for community groups to come together and potentially work together. Many of us share common goals for our communities and are doing similar things. So it sometimes makes sense to connect with another group or organization in your community with those similar goals. Working together can strengthen those efforts, can generate ideas, increase your reach, and sometimes share resources. And, you know, many hands make light work, as the saying goes. We also share knowledge and information. So many of us offer workshops on topics such as grant and proposal writing, supporting healthy eating in the community, mental health promotion, just as, you know, some topics that are often covered. We also share wellness information from community groups. So you can send us your information and we can send it out to others in the network. Most of us have email distribution. Well, we all have email distribution lists and newsletters, bulletins, and that when we can share information about funding opportunities in the community, either through us, resources, events, and different things like that that are happening. We take action on wellness priorities. So our wellness areas, as I said, we look at wellness from that very broad perspective. And that would include promoting healthy eating, physical activity, tobacco and vaping control, injury prevention, such as fall prevention, mental health promotion, child and youth development, health protection, sexual health and well-being, and health and literacy. So I think we, you know, kind of cover the whole gamut there. And we take action in different ways by supporting community projects in one of these areas, distributing resources or information, as I mentioned earlier, or raising awareness through campaigns such as, you know, with healthy eating. We've had a Drop the Pop campaign. We've done things around diabetes prevention and healthy environments and composting. So over the years, there's been quite a variety. We support and build on community wellness initiatives. So we might promote some existing initiatives that are out there, or support other provincial programs such as Eat Great and Participate, or Space for Everyone in terms of the breastfeeding campaign that was on the go a few years ago. We also advocate, so we do participate in public consultations around things like poverty reduction, tobacco reduction efforts. We did a joint submission to the Health Accord. So sometimes we may do these things individually in our own coalitions, or we may come together collectively as our 6 coalitions with the support of our provincial government consultant, and you know, draft letters of support or a submission around a particular issue. And finally, this is often the carrot that gets people to join the coalition, is our grant funding program. So each coalition offers a small grant program in their regions to their members to support requests from community group organizations such as seniors clubs with wellness projects related to one of those wellness areas that I just mentioned, the healthy eating, physical activity, etc. And we'll discuss that in a little bit more detail. Sorry. There you go. So our grant program has been around almost as long as we have. I think it might have come into, we might have got like a little bit of extra money, maybe in the first or the second year that we were in existence. And at the time, we wanted to create something that would encourage community groups and that to come together to look at what areas in their communities that they would like to strengthen their wellness efforts. Because as we know, wellness really happens in the community. It doesn't happen in the hospital or in the healthcare setting. That's where you go when you're ill. Hopefully you do get better. But all those good things that contribute to our well-being, it happens in community, where we live, where we work, where we go to school. So we wanted to be able to support some of those efforts in our communities. So it is to, I guess, help build that capacity and focus on a wellness area. So all of our grant programs, I think all of us have a maximum of $1,000. And the amount available, I guess, at any given round of applications varies from coalition to coalition, depending on, the other expenses and activities that we're supporting during that year. But we do all set, a certain amount every year, usually about 75% of our budget to cover our grant program. And so that means the pot can range anywhere between $15,000 or $25,000 annually that each coalition would have. It is a competitive process. So, so sometimes you may be disappointed that you're not funded, and it might not have anything to do with the fact that your project wasn't a good idea. It just might be we ran out of money, and that happens. So it is open to our not-for-profit community group organizations. Individuals and businesses are not eligible. So even though you might be part of the coalition to get our newsletters and find out what's going on in the community, unfortunately, you're not able to apply for the grant program. And the one nice thing about our program is that you don't have to be a registered charity. So if you're a small volunteer group or seniors club, you don't have to have that registered charity status in order to apply. You are encouraged to apply to the coalition in your region. So for instance, if your you know, if you're out in Gander, you can't apply to the coalition that's in St. John's. So you have to go within the boundaries, and your activities have to take place within your region. There are some provincial groups that I guess we've run into that sometimes with provincial groups. And the way we operate is that if your provincial organization has a, you know, physical location or office or branch in different parts of the province, then the branch that's in that particular region can connect to the coalition that's associated with that region. So that would sort of be the exception there with that. So our application processes and criteria vary from one coalition to the next. So for instance, Wellness Coalition Avalon East, the one that I represent, we do our grants twice a year with a deadline in October and February. You know, Western would have different timelines. They have a granting period for schools and a granting period for communities. So they are all a little bit different. So it is important that you read the guidelines. We all have guidelines available that outlines our processes and our criteria. One thing that we do have in common, though, is that the grant decisions aren't made by one person. We do have review committees, and they are made up of folks from our steering committee who are from the community or from the health authority. And we all have, you know, a fairly, I wouldn't say stringent, but we do have a checklist that we go through to see if it meets the purposes and goals of the grant program and those sorts of things, and if the budgetary items are within reason and all that sort of thing. And the other thing is, if you do have an idea for a grant project, you know, give one of us a call and run your idea by us first to see if that fits within the criteria and the guidelines of that particular grant program. You know, we love hearing from groups and hearing about ideas, and then that saves everybody a little bit of time, you know, so that you can make sure that your application is filled out the best way possible, and that it meets everybody's needs. And of course, like most things, there's always a report and that's needed at the end, and receipts. That is for accountability purposes, but we also want to know what happened with your project. You know, what were some of the really good things that happened? What were some of the lessons that were learned that maybe, you know, you wouldn't do the next time and you would improve upon it? Who were some of the partners and what were some of the outcomes? And I know for me, I often take those reports and I turn them into a little article for our newsletter, or I share them with, you know, with others on our steering committee or within the health authority. So, you know, I know it's always the grunt work at the end, but it's a really important piece, and we love to hear what happened in projects. So in addition to the grant program, most of us have a small discretionary fund, and those amounts can range up to $100 to $200 a year. So that's meant to be for like a small community event that you might be having, that it's really not a big project. It might be like a one-time event and you just need a few healthy snacks or something like that. And I won't get into all the ins and outs of that one, because again, the process and the criteria are a little bit different from one coalition to the next, but if it's something that people are interested in, you can follow up with us after. So I'm almost done with my talking at you. So our impact, don't you just love the pictures on this side? Like smiling faces of children always get everybody else smiling. So as I said, we've been around for 20 years. And before that, we were actually Heart Health Coalition. So it's longer than that. And we like to think that, you know, we've had an impact on improving the health and well-being of individuals, families, and communities in our region. Just a little bit of, you know, did you know stats? The 6 coalitions combined, we have over 1,200 members. So that's a really big reach across the province. In those 20 years, we've hosted over 160 events, you know, either workshops or annual gatherings or different kinds of community activities. And the grant program that I've just talked about has funded over 3,400 wellness projects across the province. So I think that's a really great accomplishment through the coalitions, but, you know, thinking that the coalitions are the community. So that's over 3,400 community projects that community groups and organizations have created. And in terms of supporting seniors' wellness, because I'm assuming that everyone on the call today has some connection with seniors' wellness, we do involve seniors organizations and clubs in our membership. Some coalitions have, I think, every single seniors club in their region is a member. Others are, you know, might not have quite so many. We do try to have that representation on our committees and on our steering committee so that we can bring the seniors' perspective to the work that we do. There's certainly many projects that have been initiated or focused on seniors that we've funded through our grant programs over the years. And we've partnered on different seniors initiatives within the community. So all the pictures that you've seen in the slides today are from our coalitions and projects and events and activities that have happened in the different parts of the region. So you can see a few things there in that picture around community gardens, around music, intergenerational types of activities. So lots happening and going on. All right, so I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to hand it over. We're just going to each just do a quick slide just to highlight a couple of ways that we've supported seniors' wellness in our various regions. And I'm going to start with Danica in Labrador.
Thanks, Heather, for that really great overview. As Heather said, I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about the Labrador Regional Wellness Coalition. So for our coalition, we do have a steering committee, like was mentioned earlier, and this is made up of community members and groups. So our steering committee typically meets quarterly, and if we're working on specific items or if we have things happening in the community, we do set additional meetings outside that. And we often connect quite regularly through email. So our coalition has a number of items that we work on throughout the year, which are guided by our wellness priorities. So our wellness priority areas include healthy living, healthy environment, mental health promotion, child and youth development, chronic disease prevention and health protection, as well as injury prevention. So related to these topic areas, 2 of our recent projects included some work around bicycle and helmet safety, where we purchased a number of helmets and work with members in our community to distribute helmets along with some information to individuals. And this year we also decided that we would begin working to offer some educational opportunities to our members and individuals within our communities. So one of the things that we have offered so far is that we did do the assist training in Happy Valley Goose Bay. So that was offered last summer. We did have great interest in that, which is really great to see. So we did sponsor so many seats within the course and offered the training to individuals free of charge for anyone who was interested in availing of that. And our hope is that we would continue to be able to do additional things like that in coming years and coming months. So we will reach out to our communities and our steering committee and see what types of education our groups would like to see, and try and offer some of those opportunities. So as Heather mentioned earlier, we do have a grant program that's available that allows groups to participate in a number of wellness events. So a number of these have been community projects for us, and they've included things like wellness days, physical activity sessions, such as nature walks and outdoor activities, providing healthy snacks to some of those, some of those events as they're happening, and making some of those connections within the community. One of our most recent applications for a project, which is planned to begin this spring, and continue for a number of weeks, is to bring seniors and young people together for education on topics like safety and healthy living, as well as engaging together in cooking meals and exercising and engaging in craft activities and some of the social components. So we're very excited about that and interested to see how that is going to take place, and certainly something that I'd be happy to update on once it has happened and we have a little bit more information on it. So last year, with regards to our grant program, we did have 15 grants applications approved and a number of discretionary funds as well. So as Heather mentioned, our discretionary funds are up to $100. So for smaller events, if you're looking for if it's not something that you're planning like a big thing and you just need a small pot of money for snacks or a little bit of activity or something like that, that is certainly available. And then our grant application is for some of those larger projects that we have and things that happen within community groups and things in our communities. So as part of our coalition, we do offer a yearly newsletter. So we provide updates on the things that are happening in our coalition, some of the activities that we've had planned, a little bit more information on some of the grants that have been approved, and anything that we might be planning that are coming up. So if we have any education sessions that we're planning for the upcoming months or anything like that, we would highlight those in our newsletter. And we also like to highlight anything that is happening in community. So if there's anyone that has events happening, anything connected to wellness that you want to promote and kind of spread the word within community, we would be happy to include some of that information in our newsletter. So our newsletter and our grant application, they can both be found on our website. So that is www.lrwc.ca. So if you go on there, you can find more information about how to apply for grants. I will say that we do have a grant call coming up, our final one for this fiscal year, which is happening on March the 1st. So I encourage anyone to, anyone who's planning anything, if you have events coming up that might fit within our grant guidelines, certainly check that out. If you have any questions about the grant application process, or if you're looking for a little bit more information, certainly feel free to reach out at any time, or if you just have general questions about the coalition as well. And we're always happy to have new members, whether that is as part of our general membership, or if you're interested in being a part of our coalition in a more, hands-on capacity. We'd be certainly happy to hear from anyone who's interested in doing that. So that's a little bit about the Labrador Regional Wellness Coalition, and I thank you all for your time, and I am going to pass it over to Karla.
Actually, before you pass that over to Karla, there is one question in the chat specifically for you, and it says, where are you located in Labrador?
So I am actually located in Flowers Cove. We do have members in the Goose Bay region, as well as members throughout our whole area. So our main hub for the coalition will be in Goose Bay, but we connect virtually. And we do a lot of our meetings and community outreach and things like through our virtual meetings. So regardless of where the individual will be located in Labrador, they would certainly be able to attain some of those things. And we try to do our community outreach in, like, if we're planning events, we try to spread it out just because of our geographical outreach. I guess we're not always able to have everyone from everywhere attend at the same time, so we do try and spread some of that out throughout the region.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. I guess to start off, my office is located in St. Anthony. So I'm born and raised, and most people kind of know, I guess from the Northern Peninsula, we're a small area in the South Coast. Most would know, hopefully, that where my office is. But anyway, just to give you just basic information, I suppose, other than what Heather has already highlighted about the Northern Wellness Coalition. We award about an average of 25 to 30 applications per year. That might differ from year to year, but that would be with our regional community grants program that Heather has already spoken about. And we would cover the same, I guess, health priorities as what Danica has already mentioned. So I won't belabor that too much, but just really stress the importance of the social health and mental health and physical activity aspect, especially for seniors. So, you know, over the course of a year, we do receive quite a few requests for funding that really do relate to the needs of seniors. And more importantly, I guess we would just love to receive more requests. And I've included my website there. I'd encourage people to go on and take a look at our newsletters from over the past, I guess, 10 years. I think it'll give a really good idea about who we are and what we've supported, those kinds of things, and might even give people an idea of what they could apply for. Or you may look at our newsletters and say, oh, well, I didn't realize that, you know, they supported seniors events, which we do. And we'd be very happy to hear from you. But just to give you an idea, I wanted to maybe just quickly talk about some of the projects that we've supported in the past. Of course, the first one being 50 plus clubs. We've had presidents and vice presidents and members of 50 plus clubs contact us for probably materials so that they can do social events in their own clubs. That could be anything from crafting to small appliances for their kitchen so that they can operate their social events out of their clubs. And we've supported a number of those over the years. Another big one right now, I guess, would be the community gardens, and especially, I guess, with the cost of foods and those types of things, which fixed incomes is a big, I guess, issue for everyone, but especially for seniors. And right now, I guess a good example of that would be in Mary's Harbor, which is on the south coast of Labrador. They were given a patch of land by the town council outside of the town. And they're looking for money to expand this year, but they've been doing their community garden for a couple of years now. So they've got seniors who are involved. They go and they help plant, they help to harvest. And more importantly, they've been able to benefit from the root vegetables that come from that garden, and to really take it home and use those. And some even have their own little root cellars. So they've really jumped on the bandwagon for community gardens. It's a great way to stay in shape, to socialize with the people that go there. You know, it kind of addresses all ages, but there are a lot of seniors who had gardens growing up, and I think they have a special connection with those types of activities. So we try to support those as much as we can. Another one, I guess, is Walking to Wellness. So Walking to Wellness is basically a walking group. And you might have people that are 30, but more often than not, we have people that are 50 and up to 80 plus. So they winter walk. They find a location in their community where they can go inside and walk, because there's those concerns of walking outside in the winter with ice and snow and those kinds of things. But also in the summer, they have walking groups that visit some of the walking trails on the Northern Peninsula, but also the south coast of Labrador. So right now we've got 3 or 4, I think 4 walking groups in my particular region. And we've got one in St. Lenaire, for example, St. Lenaire Griquet, and another one in St. Anthony. So they've been walking, I believe, for, I'd say, close to 10 years, if not more. And if you consider walking, it's a cost-effective physical activity. If you have a pair of good sneakers, then it's a great way to stay in shape and to socialize and to catch up with friends. And we also supported snowshoe days. So we've partnered with local ski chalets to host events specifically for seniors to bring along their snowshoes or to borrow snowshoes from the chalet. So they would come and do some snowshoeing. Again, a nice social event, but also, you know, they're given time to socialize and to have food, which is, you know, some nutritious food, which is always important at those social events. Everyone likes a good snack and a really healthy meal. So again, if anyone is interested in submitting an application to the Northern Wellness Coalition, please visit our website or maybe pick up the phone, give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. And Heather will have our contact information shared at the end of this presentation, I do believe. So I'd like to welcome Tanya with the Wellness Coalition in Western to come and highlight her coalition.
Hi, thanks everybody for having us. We're certainly excited to have this forum with Seniors NL and their expanded network of all you fine folks. So I'm located on the west coast of the island and cover the geography that aligns with the former Western Health Authority. I don't think that changed actually when we merged to the one. So we have great relationships with very many seniors groups in our region. Over the last year, we have provided around 20 to 25 community grants and 20 to 25 school grants each year. Now, not everybody's getting $1,000 when we have that many, but it's amazing what a small group of dedicated people in a community that has connections can do with $500 or $600. We do get a number of requests each year that include seniors as participants or directly address identified needs of seniors from the communities. Our website is online here, westernwellness.com, westernwellnesscoalition.com. We put out 3 newsletters a year, and each newsletter features a community grant and a school grant that has experienced success. And so that gives our readership and our members an opportunity to look back and copy or upscale something that another community did that worked out really well for them. We really like to support communities who self-identify their needs and have the capacity or at least the initiative to tackle those issues on their own. And with a little bit of funding and perhaps some guidance, some support, maybe we help them find partners for their projects. They build that capacity to take these initiatives on and deliver something really great at the local level, which makes it accessible to people because not everybody can leave one community to go to a larger center to avail of recreation or the different things. So some of the things that we've had great success with have been snowshoe programs. My region actually has 4 cross-country and snowshoe clubs from Stephenville, Corner Brook, Pasadena, and Rocky Harbor. And we've funded programs in each of those snowshoe and cross-country ski clubs. And they've always been inclusive of seniors in their programming. So we've been able to support that. Community kitchens and community gardens generally are intergenerational, where seniors can bring their lived experience and their knowledge of growing and sustaining families with a community with a garden and pass that on to younger people and younger participants, whether they're, just younger adults or sometimes younger youth. And you can see in the picture here, this garden out in Bay St. George had elders and youth paired together in one of their project beds. Music and Friends was a great initiative that happened here. A couple of local musicians had a partnership with a building, the Knights of Columbus, and they had music lessons, playing guitars and accordions for other adults in the community, a lot of whom were over 50, because it was offered in the daytime and that's when they could go. They started out with one session a week that morphed into 2 sessions a week, one in the day, one in the evening. And they've just had great success. They started out, the goal was to have the group of 10 or 12 musicians learn to play 4 notes and 10 songs. What has happened since then is that some of their students have now become leaders and are teaching the next generation of participants in the Music and Friends group. So there's lots of examples of seniors getting involved, seniors participating, seniors becoming leaders, and you can read more about it in our newsletters. So I'll pass it on now to the colleagues of ours in Central.
Oh, I think Jill was going to chime in here. I'm not sure. She's still there.
Oh, sorry, I'm having
That's
myself on
okay.
mute.
Yeah, no, sorry, my voice is really raspy, so I'm not going to be a great presenter this morning. So Jill's just going to take over the slide.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. My name is Jill Wheaton. Kendra and I both co-chair the Wellness Coalition in Central. I'm actually going to be stepping down as co-chair very soon. So Kendra will be taking over as another co-chair. But I've been around for, I've been co-chair for about 15 years now. So seen a lot, and we have supported a lot of community groups. Our coalition is very similar to the others, but we do a few things different. Of course, we all have our little uniqueness. Our logo, of course, is a little bit different. I just want to say a little bit about our logo first. So we redesigned our logo maybe 8 or 10 years ago. And as you can see, it's shaped like a C, and there's a little leaf on the bottom of it. So it's kind of talking about the uniqueness of being centralized. We have a lot of inland communities as well as some on the coast. We have an arrow kind of directing us to the future, and the little people there are kind of coming out showing our diversity and our partnerships, and they're kind of shaped like a W. So it's a little bit why we chose our coalition logo. We are also guided by a steering committee like the other coalitions, and our steering committee is about half and half right now between Newfoundland Health Services staff and community members and community partners. And our 50+ member, so we don't call our senior group, Linda likes to refer our older member as our 50+ member. And I'm sure, I don't know if Linda's on this morning, but I'm sure many of you must know Linda Olford. She is one of the most dynamic and forward-thinking, enthusiastic seniors that 50+ member I've ever met. Very good personal friend of mine as well. And in the picture we have here, this is Linda's in the background there on dancing with her Eastport Dancing Square Dancers Club. And they came to one of our annual gatherings years back and just thrilled the whole group with the energy and beautiful work that they do. And we have given that group some funding over years. And recently, actually, they did an intergenerational dancing thing with some students at a school in Eastport, and it was very empowering. So we also have networking members. It's free to join. If you go to our website, which I think the information is going to share, if you just Google or wherever we're using Central Wellness Coalition, you will see our website. It will be redesigned in the next 3 to 4 weeks. We're looking at some changes, but it'll still be free. There's a little tab there. Click, you can sign, put your email in. It'll ask you what group you represent. There's no formal application or anything. Anyone who would like to join our networking member list can certainly reach out and get our information. We send out might be free educational opportunities, or might be awareness things, or like our grant information when we do our grants programs. So if you want to join, the only thing I'll tell you is in your email, if you know where your junk box is to, we may end up in there. So you may have to figure out how to not make us end up in your junk box because of the way we send our emails out. Because when we're sending 375 plus members, we have to use a special way to send it, and often we end up in junk. And we don't like being junk, but so we can figure that out. That's where we're probably ending up. We also have a grants program and funding available. So we have what some people call discretionary funds. We call it community initiatives. It's up to $200 per year per group. And that's just for like if you're doing an education lesson and you want a little money for some snacks, or you're some groups, like maybe not senior trip, but they might be doing like a bicycle rodeo and would like to have a helmet for a prize or something like that. That will be the $200 up to per year. And that's just a quick little form you can fill online. And we also, of course, have our grants program that all the coalitions have for up to $1,000 a year. Again, you don't have to be a charity. You don't have to be incorporated. It's a fairly simple application. And we usually do a grants call through our networking membership list every September and again in January. This year we had over 75 applications, and we were able to award about 25 grants. So we don't like those numbers because we would love to have more funding. So if you've applied and we've come back and said, I'm sorry, we don't have money, it's just because our community grants, we get so many. It's actually been overwhelming the last couple of years. And we would love to have some more funding available actually. So we put out about almost $20,000 in grants so far this year. So that was very, I guess, empowering for us to be able to do that. But we would love to have more, and we would love to be able to support more seniors initiatives. So Heather, I actually have 3 slides. So you want to click to the next one. I won't take much longer though.
Yeah, I'm keeping track of the time there. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So, so just want to mention some of the things that we have support for our older population. So cultural, mental health things. We do things like painting nights and tie flying, rug hooking, snowshoe making, different knitting groups. A lot of this stuff is intergenerational. It could be just a group that gets together and wants to buy some board games because they get together and it's a reason to socialize. We've done some mental health first aid kits, memory care kits for dementia care and dementia, cafe kind of activities and groups. We do some self-care, caregiver self-care, those kind of things, meditation, all those things around cultural mental health. We have supported over the last, I went back 3 or 4 years. The next slide there, Heather. Some other examples of things that we have supported in Central around health, eating, food security, and movement. We have funded, for example, a freezer for food banks. And I know food banks is not something that we want to use, but a lot of our older population do use food banks according to the statistics we get. So we have funded a freezer so they can actually start offering and providing more meats and freezer products like frozen vegetables and frozen fruits that we know are very important. We also fund some work around community kitchens, again, intergenerational cooking programs, baking, traditional cooking, those kind of things. Canning, preserving, many gardening and herb projects, a lot of those. And they kind of cross with the movement and the healthy eating and the mental well-being. Like there's so many positives of those. Yoga, fitness, strengthening, walking groups, exercise things, we do a lot. We've done drum fit. I know Genge area actually bought a bunch of those things, like the big balls, a big drum fit, which is kind of fun. Dragon boating is something unique because I don't know if that happens everywhere, but for cancer survivors and friends of cancer survivors. And we do have some of the older population who actually dragon boat on Genge Lake. So that's actually, I dragon boat with them because I live in Glenwood. And that's been very empowering. Outdoor survival stuff and outdoor activities, of course, snowshoeing. And last year we granted 2 grants to, which was very interesting, to Grand Falls and Gander gymnastics clubs for senior gymnastics for balance and agility. So that was an interesting thing that we did. So again, lots of different things that we have done. If you're looking to do something, we encourage everybody in Central, if you want a little bit of help filling out the forms, connect with myself or Kendra or your local public health nurse. So our public health nurses in Central with Newfoundland Health Services are all now gaining training to help support community groups in the regions. So if you want a little bit of help and you're in Central, you're not sure where to start, and you want someone even to put an eye over your idea, because again, our process is a bit more, it's a very, I want to say it's a bit competitive in Central because we are getting really good applications. So if you want a little bit extra help, I encourage you to reach out to your public health nurse. And I think that's it, unless there is any questions posted for me or Kendra. Sorry, I probably spoke a little fast. That's just me. I'm going to turn over, I guess, to Tammy Greening. Tammy, I'm assuming you're going to present research. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah. So I'm Tammy Greening, and I connected and oversee the Eastern Regional Wellness Coalition. And Heather already went over the boundaries, but of course I'm located in Clarenville and cover from Holyrood to Port Blandford and all points in between. So that would include the Burin Peninsula, Bonavista, Placentia, and out around Harbour Grace, Carbonera, all of the points in between. So again, it's a regional position, and much like what everyone else was saying, that although we're located in one area, we do try to reach out throughout the region for different things related to the coalition. So some of the things that I'm going to mention, I'm just realizing now that myself and Heather are at the end here, and a lot of things have been said, but just to build upon what everyone else has been saying, all of our coalitions, as we've mentioned several times, have steering committees that oversee the activities and the work of the wellness coalitions. And for all of us, again, much as what has been said, we do try to have a community seniors representative on those steering committees. And over the years, we've had a variety of different people come around the table from, whether it's a seniors group, or they're connected to age friendly, or, they're connected to a 50+ group or some other group in the community. And we certainly have them there to give us information, insight, and be our connect for us. And our membership, I know we talked about this throughout the number of slides as well. Our membership is very diverse, and we do have a lot of senior groups that are part of the Eastern Regional Wellness Coalition. So we have 50+ groups, we have fitness groups, we have recreation. Heritage is one that wasn't mentioned, but we do have a number of heritage type cultural groups that are, that are part of the Wellness Coalition as well. And many of our seniors are involved in those things. What we do find, and I know when we talk about the projects and everything, is that many of our seniors in a lot of our communities are actually the leaders. We find they provide that leadership in a lot of the communities to get these projects up and running. Because as we know, a lot of our volunteer groups and non-for-profit groups are heavily involved with the seniors piece in our region. I can speak to. So they are I call them the movers and shakers. That's what they are. They're the movers and shakers in our communities. And I'm always astonished when I hear the stories about the things that they've accomplished. I think Tanya said it in one of her slides that, with a very small grant, a lot can happen. And that's what we find in terms of some of our groups that are out there. So some of the projects or programs, again, that we've been connected to. And this is only a small list, because if we've gone back, I think Heather said 20 years, and we've been around from the beginning. There are so many projects. Like, there wouldn't be enough time today to talk about all the different projects and different things that we've been involved with over the years. But certainly intergenerational ones we're seeing more and more now, where youth and seniors are coming together in our communities and working on different projects. We're seeing them like share skills, and even a lot of our schools now we're finding are bringing senior groups into schools. We have 1, 2, or 3 that are happening right now, actually, where they're partnering with seniors groups in their community, and the seniors are coming into the schools as well. So a lot of those things are happening. We even see it, and I mentioned community gardens. We do see that with our community garden projects as well, that, some of our senior groups are teaching young people how to grow their own vegetables and involved in that way.
So walking and trails, we do have a picture there. That's one of our groups in Bonavista. Vista. Certainly looked like a colder day that day. But we do have a lot of walking programs. And what we're finding too now, even on a lot of our trails, we're getting a lot of groups come to us and want to do activities on trails and make trails safer and, more senior friendly or age friendly, I should say. And community gardens, we do have a picture there. And I didn't plan this, but Albert Legg is online there now. And he's actually, this is his garden in Whiteway. So I didn't tell Albert to sign up. I didn't pay him or anything like that. I just looked and I seen his name there and he just made a comment. So Albert is one of our senior groups with Whiteway 50 Plus, and they've been involved with this community garden project, and it's amazing to see what they've done. And and that's just one example of a lot of community gardens that we have. We do a lot of projects as well around cooking skills and community kitchens. We're seeing that come up a lot more now. I think, and I go back to what some of the other people have said, or some of the other facilitators have said, that what we're finding now is that because of the cost of living and the entire issue around healthy eating, we're seeing more and more of these projects come to life in our smaller communities. I think there was a question there. Someone asked me about an intergenerational. You see, I think someone did. Someone asked me a question about what kinds of intergenerational. Yeah, so intergenerational projects, again, we were talking, like, even we've had some seniors do the quilting projects and go into the school and teach the young people how to do some of those quilting projects and work together on certain quilts or skills. We've had, again, I mentioned about community gardens. We've also had cooking skills programs where they share recipes and work together to do those pieces. So all kinds of different things. And one unique one we actually had was a snowshoe one where the seniors group actually showed the youth group how to make snowshoes. And they actually did snowshoes together and that. So there's been lots of intergenerational ideas out there. And just the last line there, the newsletter and networking events. Wanted to mention that besides our grants and besides the projects that we see, all of our coalitions offer so many networking opportunities. And Heather mentioned this at the very beginning. And for those events, we look to our groups out there to help us with those, to showcase their stories, to present, and lots of times they support us in those activities. And we're always looking at ways to do that in different parts of the region. And our newsletters as well, the stories showcasing, highlighting what our senior groups have been doing. And, it's always ways to share resources that are in the region as well. Because one of the things we did talk about is partnerships. And one of those ways is sharing resources and ideas with other groups that are in our region as well. So Heather, I know we're dealing with time, so I'm just going to pass it over to you now.
All right, thanks, Tammy. So as usual, by the time it gets to me, it's all been said. Just a couple of things here that I will mention. And with the Avalon East, and often I do encourage you to look at the boundaries and the websites, because there's so many times that I end up with applications for Eastern, and Eastern ends up with applications for me or membership forms. So it is important to kind of be cognizant of the geography. So in terms, I guess, of supporting seniors' wellness and seniors being involved in our organization, in our coalition, we do have two reps from senior serving organizations, or three actually, on our steering committee through Catherine with Seniors NL Anglican Homes or St. Luke's Community Living, and Yamuna, who's on the call here today with the Multicultural Women's Organization. I think Yamuna might have been involved with the coalition maybe for as long as I have. Hey, Yamuna. I know we've talked a lot about projects and grants, but if you recall from the first slide, we talked about that multi-level partnership between with the Department of Health, the Health Authority, and the community. And the Healthy Eating for Healthy Aging focus group, that's just an example of sometimes we reach out to the connections and the community groups that we have in the community to help inform resources and work that we want to do from that provincial level, from the Health Authority level. So a few years back, the provincial dietitian and the regional dietitians were reviewing the Healthy Eating for Healthy Aging resource booklet that they had that had recipes there around affordable healthy eating and eating for two and seniors nutrition and that type of thing. And we wanted to get input into that from seniors organizations. So through our regional nutritionist and through the connections that we had in our wellness coalition, we reached out to I think it was St. Luke's, to involve seniors in giving input into that. So, that's one way that we can connect around health and well-being and try and improve some of the information that we have for the community. So the network works that way as well. And sometimes we don't highlight that piece enough. In our region, I know there are a lot of 50+ clubs and seniors clubs and that in the Avalon area, but I have to say, I think we only have maybe 4 or 5 groups that are members of our coalition. So we would really love to see a few more of you become involved and take advantage of some of the coalition benefits if you're really interested in promoting health and well-being in your organizations. And as some of the others have mentioned, we have certainly funded fitness and movement type of sessions for seniors groups. We've supported some fall prevention projects or workshops that seniors clubs have done, certainly projects around affordable healthy eating and those that encourage a social connection. And the picture that's there, that's actually from a knitting group, my gosh, a number of years ago, probably 10 years ago or more, that we helped get going and supported down on the Southern Shore. So that's some of the wonderful projects. They would come together on, I think, a Tuesday afternoon and knit, and everybody in the group kind of had a little job from, getting the center open to, providing some of the snacks to making the tea. And I went down one time and took my, they call it a UFO, an unfinished object. So it was a scarf that I started when my son was 2 and he's now 30, that still never got finished. I brought it down, but all I did was drink the tea and chat. But it was a wonderful social connection. And again, our website is there as well. So let me see, just one more slide, just to one more mention before we can open it up for some questions. We're very proud of this. Back in September, all of us, all our coalitions came together to do a special edition newsletter. So while we all have newsletters for our own coalitions, this was one that sort of showcased the coalitions across the province and as a collective. And we did it for Wellbeing Week. And anyway, we love it. We thought it turned out really well. Who knows, we may do another one again next year. And it was a really nice way to collectively share some of the stories around the work that's happening with the coalitions, whether that be specific grant projects that have been funded, whether it be networking events where we've brought community groups together, or educational workshops providing information and resources around specific health topics. So you can find that. I do think Seniors NL probably sent it out to their network when it originally came out, but if you didn't get to see it then, you can find it on the Eastern Health's, well, it's NLHS health information website, but it still has the old Eastern Health address on it. So it is www.hi.easternhealth.ca, and you can find it there in the For Communities section under the Wellness Coalition's page. So I really encourage you to have a look at that. And finally, the last slide, Catherine, I think you sent this out to folks. We did send a PDF of the slides. So if you're looking to contact us, you can reach out to us through our Health Authority email address. Some of the coalitions have an info@ address as well. And then the websites for each individual coalition is listed there too.
The PowerPoint itself will be sent out to everybody as a follow-up after our session in the next couple of days.
So, any questions or comments? Anything that we didn't cover? I know we've been talking at you for quite a while.
No, it was
questions there in the chat.
Yeah.
Someone did ask in the chat if there was a fee for membership, and no, there's no membership fees for anybody, whether it's an individual or an organization.
Thanks, Tanya.
There's another question in the chat. It says, are the grants that are approved posted on your websites?
I know for Avalon East, you can go in our website, and it might take a month or so before they're put up there, but there are descriptions there, so that's an excellent place to find out who's getting funded, what kinds of things are funded, and to get ideas for the types of projects that you might want to replicate or or connect with for a partner. I think some of the others, maybe you probably let folks know through your newsletter who got funded.
We put it in our Western newsletter, yes.
Yeah.
Anybody else like to take yourself off mute and ask our panel a question directly?
Yes.
Catherine, if I may, Catherine, I'm going to give it. I have another meeting in a few minutes. It's Mike Keall, and I chair a group called Older Workers Newfoundland Labrador. What a wonderful service, Catherine, for Seniors NL to work with the group to put this off. And thank you for the people delivering all this great information. As it says, our group focuses on those people who need, or choose to continue to work in their lives as they age. And they face unique challenges, most of them related to ageism and things like that go on, and things that usually groups that are funded by government or something like that cannot challenge directly, more so than we can. That's why we're self-supporting. So I guess at the coalition, my question would be, there are wonderful programs there, but is there any kind of a focus, or does the coalition see a focus on supporting that growing demographic of seniors who, because of cost of living and access to medications and everything else, need to continue to work? And so is there anywhere in there that the coalition perhaps sees that it can develop, or it is developing some kind of a focus in that area, that demographic? Thank you again. Thanks again for the service.
I guess first off, we don't develop a lot of programming in that ourselves. All the projects in that we talked about, they come from community groups and organizations. I'm not quite sure what you mean in terms of supporting seniors who are working. I'm not sure in what way you mean that, and I don't know if anybody else on the panel could jump in there, but
maybe I can clarify. I'm thinking about, education in terms of maybe technology, partnering with community sector Newfoundland Labrador, which Seniors NL did a wonderful program with a short while ago, and others like groups that may want to come together to develop job opportunities or access job opportunities, that type of thing. There are none really in government that are practical to be able to. Everything is a focus on a different demographic, but we're a growing demographic. Thank you.
Yes. The job opportunities, I guess, wouldn't be part of our mandate because we are focused on those wellness priority areas that we had talked about. But I know that several of the coalitions, we've partnered with like the Community Sector Council and techno tutors to try and bring some of that technology piece to some of our members. And I think somebody was going to jump in there before I answered, so.
I think it might have been me, and I'm from Western Tanya here. The challenge is you're representing the whole province, and those people who continue to work are widely dispersed. So there's not one coalition that's going to, step in and fund everything that you want to do. But I think there are ways that we could have a separate discussion in perhaps how to enable or connect the people that you serve to what's happening in their communities. So I don't want to get into, specifics here, but I think it would be best in a separate conversation, perhaps.
And again, Mike, fantastic question. I will make sure that you have all the contact information that you need to reach out. Again, I'm going to open it up to say, would anybody like to take themselves off of mute to ask a question directly? While you're thinking about that, I will actually read a question that's in the chat. It says, does the Seniors NL have membership cards for distribution? So with Seniors NL, we are not a club. We are a supportive organization that provides information and resources to seniors, older adults, and those who support them right across our province. So we don't have members. We are here to answer and give information anytime you need that. With regards to the wellness coalitions, this is something that we are actually going to have a sidebar conversation to see if we could have possibly a flyer developed that will have all of the information for all of the coalitions available for when we do travel, and also to send out in to provide in the different areas. But this is something in the works, in conversation, so that may not come to fruition. However, again, if you need any of this information on any of the wellness coalitions, by all means, you contact Seniors NL. We'd be more than happy to give you the information, the contact website information, anything that you need. Anybody have a question? I'm going to throw this out again before I take another question from the chat or through registration.
I guess I've unmuted myself, I believe.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Okay, it's me again. I'm just sitting here. I'm on the Great Northern Peninsula, and that's an underserviced area. We kind of share, I think, when I was listening to Danica speak and the lady from St. Anthony, because we're kind of overlapping there a little bit in an area where we still don't have services, where those of us who have been helping with services weren't even aware that these awesome services that I heard about here today were available, especially the funding opportunities for the funding opportunities to help. Like, I'm passionate about this. For one, I'm passionate about seniors care, and I'm passionate about seniors aging with grace and in place, and being able to get out into our own communities and fully participate. So I thought that I had to be more or less like really wholly aligned with like the town or whoever in order to bring some of these opportunities. But like, I found this very inspirational here today. Like, that's all I can say, because like, I just think it's fantastic that these opportunities are out there, and I'm going to bring them back. We have a newly elected somebody here on our council, and he says seniors are one of his peak areas of concern. So I'm going to reach out and say, wow, I want to host some of these events. like really do.
Good.
Like, this is really good. Thank you very much, because your pockets of funding, they seem to be pretty substantial. I don't know what your operating budgets are, but it seems pretty good. And they seem to be able to fit those people who fall between the cracks or in the canyons. So there you go.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your comment. And I know our panel is excited to hear your comments as well. We are actually getting close to the end of our session, but I do want to read out one comment that was said during registration. If there's comments in the chat, that will be done in a follow-up as well. So I just want to let you know, if you do have questions or comments there, I will send those in a follow-up. So I'm actually going to just share my screen to end our session. And I want to make sure everybody can see my screen. So there was one comment that was made during registration, and I think it's worthwhile for me to read out. It says, our club received funding for the mental health first aid kits. This worked so well that our group still wanted to gather weekly for a coffee break, coloring, and chat time. We morphed into, and I'm going to read this word for word, me happy hour. So we all know what that means, being on the call. So they morphed into me happy hour. And a big thanks goes out for the stimulus to start up this project and the availability of the grants for this. So I just wanted to let the people know on the call what a lovely comment we had during registration. I would like to take the opportunity to thank our fantastic panel that joined us today. This is the largest guest speakers that we have had to date, which was phenomenal. I'd like to thank everybody that joined today's session as well. And to remind you that our next session is called Let's Talk About Living on a Fixed Income. That's going to be on March the 6th. And on March the 14th, and yes, that's a Thursday, not a regular Wednesday, we're going to be having a Let's Talk About Protecting Yourself Online with Techno Tutors, and that session is going to be 2 hours, folks. So just a reminder about that. And of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, anything we can help with, our information is on the screen. Please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you, everybody, for joining today. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Thanks so much, Catherine.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.